Now, Devstream 165 has just ended, and as usual when these end, there's some things for us to talk about, so I'm going to get through them as quick as I possibly can and break it down for you. Luas Prey update, werewolf frame, self-damage returning, necromex in real missions, Echoes of Veilbreaker, the next update, is coming next week on the 2nd of November, Wednesday to be precise, but the big announcement, right, the big one, was that Duviri, the update, has been delayed until next year. That's the big thing that they spoke about during the Devstream, which of course is hugely disappointing. Right, no easy way to say it. I know there's going to be salt in my comment section, and it is understandable. This update was expected before the end of the year, but that's no longer going to happen. Duviri as an update has been coming soon within this Warframe community for such a long time, and in my opinion is probably easily one of the biggest mistakes that the old dev team ever made in the last few years, was announcing it, showing it off as early as they did, because it generated so much hype only for it to always be on the horizon, within reach but never quite released. So they've definitely set an unrealistic timeline with that update. So this news absolutely sucks, honestly, but I would prefer a hopefully working update, because in the past Warframe have rushed certain releases which have done some serious damage to the game and the community as a whole, and I don't want to see that with Duviri at all. So while I am disappointed, quite disappointed, very disappointed, it is what it is. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this delay. However, there is another update coming out before Christmas called Luas Prey. Maybe in December, I would imagine. We don't have an exact date. This image shows everything coming with that update. There is a new Warframe of 51st, new skins, 2 new survival missions which function differently to survival missions in game right now. You're going to be able to use necromex in those missions, Zaku's deluxe skin, Grendel and Yoreli's rework. There's new Nightwave and more. So our 51st Warframe, Voruna. The werewolf Warframe, question mark, is she even a werewolf now? She's coming complete with her signature primary sniper rifle and axe melee weapon, which will be on screen at some point over the next minute while I'm talking about her. This is the early work in progress model in game of Voruna, with 4 different wolf heads, right? 1 on each shoulder, 1 on each hip. These are based off 4 different beasts that used to roam by Voruna's side. That's part of her lore. So her design sounds more to me like that of a Beastmaster than it does of a werewolf. Yeah, she's wolf in visual, but she's got all of these beasts that she's going to be able to cycle between. The 4 heads on her armour are named after the 4 community choices that failed to win the name for this Warframe: Raksha, Dinara, Lycath and Ulfra. And holding her ability down for these beasts will cycle between each of the heads and change Voruna's playstyle. Kind of like Lavos or Zaku or any other Warframe that can cycle an ability to give it different functions. So 4 heads, like I said, 1 on each shoulder and 1 on each hip. And when you change her beasts, she will function differently. Now coming with Voruna is also 2 new survival missions on Lua that will function differently to the survival missions we have in game right now. There will apparently be colourless black and white pockets in the mission, similar to what you could have expected with Duviri, just a little taste of it. Special enemies will spawn every 5 minutes in these survival missions, and when these enemies spawn, you will have to burn them down really quickly. Rush to them, kill them, because once they're alive, they're going to drain your survival meter much quicker. You will also need to farm these missions in order to earn the 51st Warframe Voruna, and harder versions of these missions will offer better drop rates. Now, another topic that you all wanted to hear about is the changes to self-damage. It's coming back, right? However, you won't be able to outright kill yourself. Shoot right at your feet and you will have a 75% damage threshold, so the most health you will ever lose from a single explosion from a really powerful weapon right at your feet will be 75% of your health pool, which is still quite a lot if you're doing endless missions. However, if the explosion is further away and it still manages to catch you, then it's going to drain less health, right? It's got damage fall off. Basically, you can no longer shoot at your feet without consequences. This change won't affect self-crowd control, basically your self-stagger. Prime Sure-Footed will still work as it currently does. It won't be affected. It will only really kick in when an enemy explosion or an enemy attack might have staggered you. Targeted release for this will also be with the Luas Prey update for the return of self-damage, and you can expect the dev workshop up on the forums to go live with more detail about the self-damage return before the actual update shows up. This character is Tuval, who will take part in Voruna's story, which will be presented apparently in a similar way to Steinax's lore story, so maybe a little bit of an animated short. So that's Luas Prey. Before that, of course, is the Echoes of Veilbreaker update. This is what you can expect to arrive with this quality of life update next week. Venka and Sprague, the reworked Grineer bosses, will be arriving with this update. They will be arriving as optional bosses in Karl's Junk Run and prison break missions independently, so one boss in each mission. You won't be fighting them at the same time, and the fight footage, which is on screen right now, looks quite interesting. However, both of these bosses will also be staying in their original Void Sabotage missions together. Their old mission isn't going to be changed at all. Now, both of their weapons will be showing up as skins in the market. This is them, the Avex sniper skin and the Renok hammer skin. These bosses will apparently dilute the Cal's mission challenges a little bit more, giving you more variety with challenges and not just always having those treasure hunt challenges for the Cal's mission where you have to find 5 of a certain item and so on, which are quite tedious once you've done them a few times. They want basically more combat based challenges to show up in Cal's missions. Which brings us to the finer items, the smaller items that were shown off in the dev stream. Now, this is the first look at Zaku's deluxe skin designed in-game, right? The model for it, not just an artist's impression. His normal mode and of course his ultimate as well. It looks really cool. And I'm sure if you're a Zaku main, then this is something you're going to be looking at. There is also going to be a new Styanax alternate helmet making their way in. There is also some new Tau Forged ephemeras being added in, which will function based off of which Archon shards and colours you have installed on any given frame, which are shown. The Protocol series of skins are finally being added into Warframe after they were shown off bloody years ago, so they're finally making their way in. These are basically just skins that look like real guns, revolvers and so on. However, they look bloody tiny. I was hoping they'd be a little bit bigger in the Warframe's hands. You don't want to be going around finger blasting things, right? Right? Now, the big thing to take away from the dev stream that was shown tonight is that Duviri is delayed, and there's nothing I guess we can do about it, but that's just so that they can polish it even further, and it will be released sometime in 2023. Here's just hoping that it's not released at the same time or close to Destiny's Lightfall update, which is in February, because having two looter shooters with big updates at the same time is never a bloody good thing for either community. But at the same time, don't be too down about it. There is plenty of huge games coming out between now and I guess the early next year. You've got God of War, of course, and if Darktide isn't on your radar as a looter shooter styled game, then it really should be, because it is out next month as well. So it's not all doom and gloom. As upset as I guess I am that Duviri isn't going to be released this year, and I'm sure as upset you are, there's plenty of other games to jump into. But Voruna or BeastFrame should be interesting, depending on what the wolf head buffs actually do or how they change her playstyle. That will be interesting. It's interesting that she's coming with a sniper rifle as well, so that's a curious kind of choice, design choice. That's the dev stream and everything we know about it. Have a great day, and as always, thanks for watching.